Hello and welcome to That's Girl Speaks. Today is Friday, March something. And this is episode 312. Yeah. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry at the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Thank you for coming over. Has the weather not been crazy? In Indiana, it has been exceedingly lovely. Today is much more overcast, but still quite warm. This weekend is going to be like great hiking weather. I think I need to take my bike in. I do think I need to get my bike serviced. Just like a tune-up, right? Just like a tune-up. Because I've had my bike for like 6-ish years. Bicycle. For I think 6 years, and I've never had a tune-up. And you know what? Okay, this was not in the planned order of events. Okay. Just a summary of things. We'll talk about shameless self-promotion. We're going to talk about knitting. We're going to talk about spinning. We're going to talk about a little bit of gardening. We're going to talk about apparently my bicycle, even though that's not on my list. Ta-da! So yeah, I think, and if you're not interested in any of those things, I almost always try to put timestamps in the YouTube pull down so that you can just skip ahead if you're not interested in my particular banana pants thoughts of the day. Ooh, getting warm now that we're talking. I gotta take my slippers off. It's that temperature where you were like, it's warm! Because when you're outside in the sunlight, it's warm. But anywhere else, it's not yet. Which is fine. Like, that's actually great. But it does do a little brain trick on you. So, like, oh, it's warm, I can go barefoot. And then my body's like, your toes are blue. Maybe put on some slippers. I'm like, oh, okay. So grab a cuppa, grab a snack. Last week I ate my last Gold Rush apple from Adrian Orchard that was here in town. Let me just discuss, like, so it's March, that apple, and I did keep them in my refrigerator, and I did keep them in, like, the fruit drawers, and they were in the plastic orchard bags, which are plastic, but are, like, have holes in them for ventilation. And that is the best way. I mean, you know, one day when I'm a fancy rich lady, I will have, perhaps solar powered, but I will have an apple refrigerator one day. Like life goals, right? I don't need a 1,200 square foot kitchen, but I really would. I don't even know what that one looks like. All I know is that every time I watch a home show, people are like, "The kitchen must be bigger," and I'm like, okay, I don't know. Maybe I don't know y'all, but I'm pretty sure if you have enough money to buy that kitchen, you don't have time to cook in that kitchen, and like, ooh, it started raining. And like also, like I feel like when I'm just amongst the humans in the world, like there's not a lot of like 1,200 square foot kitchen cooking going on. Maybe I just don't know. Like again, like TV skews things. But anyway, apple refrigerator. Oh, last Gold Rush. So good. I realized after the fact that they had like a buy one, get one free, like at the end of the season in the orchard, and I didn't know they did that. There's been much self-flagellation as I parsed out my Gold Rush apples. Not to take away the joy of the sumo citrus, because it is amongst us. It's a lovely thing. Okay. Remember how I was like diverted? So I was like, oh no, let's give you an outline of the show. And then I immediately became diverted again. Who likes, I mean, come on. You need a neuroatypical in your life, right? It's me. And maybe it's you. Maybe it's also your family. Who knows? Let's see. Okay, let's just talk about the bicycle because it's really buying it. And I'm excited. But, so yeah, it's like almost time to cycle again. We got the kiddo a new bike. There's a place in Indy called it's called the Bicycle Hospital, and they do work on bikes, and they also sell like refurbished bikes or bikes that they have tuned and like made good roadworthy again. So we were looking for a bike that like the teen has their own bike, but it's, you know, when you're a teenager, when things are purchased and different times of your adolescence, like they needed like a less frou-frou looking bike. Which I'm fine with. I get it. I get it. So the like baby blue bike wasn't doing it for them. They wanted more like a grungier, which I'm also fine with because I want them to start commuting to school on their bike because, hello. A, it's just a good idea for like one's mental well-being, but also, guess my ass. So they got a new bike. Dad took him to get a new bike. And then I think I need to get mine tuned up though, because last year at the end of the year, I was having some gear slippage and like I fixed it. Like I readjusted my Shimono, I don't know, gear thingy bobby, but I probably should just get it readjusted. Right? I should probably just go in and get it tuned up. I've never done a tune up. And let me just discuss. When I bought my bike, I think 6 years ago, one of the things I was most terrified about was the fact that I was a fat rider, like a 350-pound rider. And you just don't see a lot of information about fat riders on bicycles in terms of like, you know, sometimes they say you need to get solid tires. So instead of having like an air-filled inner tube, you have like an actual solid tire. But at the time I didn't want to make that additional investment. And, but so I was so afraid of getting a bike because I was afraid that I was going to be constantly flattening tires. And while I do have to inflate my tires pretty frequently, so do all of the people in my family, but me slightly more so. But I mean, it's not like it's that crazy difference, but we do have an air compressor in our garage because we're from the Midwest. And, by the way, Lux. I highly recommend it. But I've never had a flat. My husband, who weighs approximately 12 pounds, that's an approximation. He weighs approximately 12 pounds, has had like 3 flats and rides his bike way less than I do. Because like the first 2 I could be like, okay, those were the original inner tubes, and like he did get like a cheap bike. But like after that point I'm like, and it's not like he's doing way sassy riding, you know, like it's not like he's out there like doing curbs and stuff. He rides, I mean, like he never rides his bike without me, and I am not jumping curbs or anything because I still hold my breath when I have to go between the like wood style things to keep cars off the bike. Have I gone through that same style 100 times? Yes, I have. Do I still envision it ripping off my hands as I go through every time? My hands are not even at the same height as that thing, but like, and I know this, but I don't know this. You know what I mean? I don't know it in my heart. I only know it in my brain, and clearly one of those things is stronger than the other. But yeah, my little 630, if you're interested, I'll try to remember to put a link. Remember that, human? I'll try to remember to put a link in the YouTube pull down to my bike episode. That's, I think it was like the fall after I got my bike. Here, let me write in big letters. I have a 630 Cruiser. And it has done really well for me. I'm really pleased with it. I am going to, I think, get a new bike this year because, or maybe I'll just get this one modified. I do want to go to handbrakes. I loved coaster brakes when I first started learning to ride because I was very scared that I would go over my handlebars. I'm sorry, but my best friend did it. Like, as we were adults. It's not like it's that crazy. But now that I've been riding more, and I do need to go into handbrakes because, especially if you're a fat rider, I don't know, this is just a guess, but I think, especially when you're a fat rider, you need to get a lot more like it's a lot more energy that you need to put out to change your momentum. So like when I'm at a stop, my pedals really need to be like at a 12 and 6 or like a 1 and 7 position, so that I can get the most force, on that down push to get me moving. And it is harder to get your pedals in a prime location when you have coaster brakes, because you can't pedal backwards. So you have to like you have to actually just keep moving your bike forwards to get your pedals lined up. And that's, you know, as you're riding, it's not a big deal when you're just like on a trail, but when you're having to do a lot of stop start for like intersections and stuff, it is more cumbersome. So do you have a bike that you love? Are you a fat person? If you're a fat person, I would especially like to know if you have a bike that you love. I'm thinking about maybe a Public, because I'm not gonna lie, they're just really snazzy looking. They're so snazzy. I want 7 speeds. I want handbrakes. I want snazziness. Just saying. I don't need step through because I do always swing my leg over. Let's see what else. Yeah, I need an upright riding position. Yeah, but if you're interested in biking, especially if you're interested in biking and you're a fat person and you don't like kind of know, I don't even remember what's in the video, but it's out there, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't bad. So I'll put a link to it, and maybe I'll do a new one. Okay, so that's biking, but I am excited, but I think I need to take her in for a tune-up. Did I ever get to the point where I said I've actually never had a flat? Yes, I think I did. Okay. Just parenthetically looping back up to that again. But yeah, bikes, they're great. And also, I also highly suggest, if you can live within biking distance of an ice cream shop, specifically Square Scoop in Indianapolis, you could ride your bike to get to a yarn store. You could ride your bike to get to Square Scoop. You could ride your bike to get to yummy Thai food. I mean, really, there's things I don't love about the city, but those are pretty excellent things about the city. I'm just saying. Okay, biking. Added that in. Okay, let's go in order now. Shop update. So usually I put this at the end. I'll do that again. Why would I put it in now? Please remember to go back. Okay. Oh, the vernal equinox is coming. Can you believe it? So every year at the solstice, I get sad. The winter solstice, I get sad because I actually really love the dark season. But then of course this time of year, like I have a day where I'm like, why do I feel so energized? I feel like I could just do all the things today. And then I realize it's because there is sunshine. It's true. So it's like it's seed starting time. Are you starting your seeds? Sorry, the dogs are getting spring fever as well. So yay, it's springtime. It is almost time to start seeds. Well, it actually is time to start seeds. I'm actually behind in time starting seeds, but you know, what's new? The fiber event is coming. The fiber event is a fiber festival in Greencastle, Indiana. So that is about an hour west of Indianapolis. I guess that would make it like an hour east of Champlain, Illinois. That's a guess, but I'm guessing. And it's a lovely fiber festival. It is at a fairgrounds, so it has, but it's like, you know, the fairgrounds barns, those are kind of like a standard size, right? There's basically 2 of those that are full of vendors, and they're very good quality vendors. It's a really nice festival. I will be there definitely on Saturday because I am taking a class in the morning. And then I thought if you wanted to, we could do a meetup. We do these usually, and I haven't done one obviously because I haven't had it because of COVID. But at 12:30, as long as everything is still in the same configuration, which I'm assuming it is, but at 12:30 on the Saturday of the fiber event, we will have a meetup in the 4-H, like lean-to. It's an open air building. We will be having a fancy, what is that? Oh, I can't think of the French, but we'll have an open air meetup in the 4-H building. And that's pretty easy. before it happens, I'll like post on Instagram like a map with it circled, or I'll talk to you again and circle it on the map, but it's pretty clear where it is. Also, you'll hear my bellowing voice, I'm sure. So yeah, we'll do that again. And then, so spring also means seed time. So this is my first year. Actually, I've forever only used like, here, this is the bag I actually have been using forever. This has been my seed storing, which has worked out super well. I just hang this in the hallway of my basement. So my basement is down a flight of stairs. I guess it's obvious, but like I just hang it in that hallway. And so it's a perfect place that like vermin can't get into it, which makes it sound like I have multiple species of terrible things. But whatever. It's so mice can't get into it. And yet it's cool and it's dry and there's still some airflow. It's worked out super well. But I this year definitely grew out of it because it was like stacked up like 30% above the bag, and I was just like, okay, I really need to go through this. And last year when I bought tomato seeds, I bought tomato seeds that I already had, and it's like, okay, it's time to move on. So a few hundred years ago, I bought, let's just move this big bag of beans. I bought one of these iris photo cases, but I bought it for storing knitting needles. And I did that for a very brief amount of time, but just did not like it for that. So it has these like little individual boxes. And so lots of folks use to store their circular needles. You can put a label on the top so it's very easy to see, and there's there's a dozen little compartment-y things, little doodad things. So you can hold a pretty good number of needles, but it just didn't work out for me at the time. And so, hooray, I can repurpose it for my seeds. And I thought I was super clever, but apparently a lot of you use the same thing. In fact, some of you even have rainbow ones where the little doodads are colored. So fancy. I should be like, yes, we're all brilliant. We are. We're just super brilliant. But so I was excited about that. What are my fattest seed things? Winter squash. Have I successfully grown more than 5 winter squash in my entire life? No. But I like some aspirational gardening. It really is the fattest. But it's only the fattest because the beans have been separated into 3 separate containers. The beans have been separated into pole beans. They've been separated into bush beans. And they've been separated into drying, like pole beans, or I guess some of them. Beans that you would dry. So you would shell out the bean rather than eating the green part. So, and then also there's these, which are also bush bean. Okay, in my defense, bean seeds are very large. There's no defense for me. So what are you growing this year? I would love to know. Are you doing anything new? Are you changing anything up? Are you trying a new variety of anything? Is there a thing you will never not grow? This year I'm not growing tomatoes. Right? I'm not going to grow tomatoes this year. I'm going to take a break from tomatoes. I'm just going to be that person this year. I don't know who that person is. Like, I'm like, oh, that's a person who doesn't grow tomatoes. Like, it's a category of humans. I mean, I guess technically it is a category of humans. But yeah, this year I'm not going to grow tomatoes. I'm instead going to use my... was it 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago we got some... No, I was going to say we got hog panels, but I just wanted to get hog panels. And also I just want to call things hog panels because it's really cool. 2 years ago I used some fairly open 6 foot, I want to say. No, it's only 4 foot. 4-foot metal, like galvanized fencing that's just like a grid. And I strung that between some T-pole thingies. And we've used that for tomato supports. And it's worked really well. But this year I'm going to try to use them for squash. I'm going to grow some summer squash, but just a little bit because, like you could literally grow one summer squash plant and probably get enough. I think maybe you need two. Whatever, I don't know. Maybe they can make out with each other. But I'm going to just grow a few summer squash, but then I'm going to really try to do the winter squash with like the supports. So like you use like, I don't even know. You can clearly buy pantyhose at the grocery store. Right? I don't even know. But you can like make little like fabric supports for them, and you can have them grow on a vine on the trellising. So that's my plan. I'm looking at it like it's gonna happen out there. Garden, you don't know what's coming for you. Because every year I try to grow them in my raised beds, and my raised beds are like 8 inches. They're not super. And every year my husband runs over the vines with the lawnmower. I don't know what his problem is. Obviously he does not like to eat winter squash. He doesn't. So he's not motivated. I mean, you'd think he would be motivated by my absolute outrage every time he does it, but he's far too willing to endure my outrage. I don't know what his problem is. But so that's what I'm doing this year that's different. I'm going to grow some more flowers. Definitely all of the zinnias. And I've got we have a program in town called Indie Urban Acres, and they're a nonprofit who does, they do a plant sale for a fundraiser every year. And I've never done it before because I'm a miser. But this year I just went all in. I said, all right, just give me some flower starts because I'm not very good at growing flowers from seed, except zinnias. So I got some fancy Indiana natives. They're literally what you would find in a wild, like, marshy field. But they're fancy ones. So yeah, I'm excited. So are you gardening anything new? Are you going to grow anything new? Are you super excited about some winter squash options? Oh my gosh, do you just want to see my winter squash options? Because what else are we talking about today? Not these 1,000 things. Do you just want to see what's in my vault? Candy Roaster, North Georgia. Introduced to me by my favorite person in the world. Okay, that's a lot. But one of my favorite people in the world, Joanna, who is Knit Spin Farm, who will be vending at the Fiber event. Table Queen Bush. This is a bush squash. I don't know. I'm 13. There's nothing even about that is a 13-year-old funny, but I just extended it in my brain to make it funny. So I'm disgusting. Squash. Hopi Pale Gray. Unique Hopi variety. 10-pound fruit has very hard pale gray rind. Great for storage. Dry, sweet flesh. Don't have those. Oh, my husband is home. Sorry about that. My husband came home from work early. What? Okay, so there's Hopi Gray Squash. Waltham Butternut Squash. Baby Blue Hubbards. Kaboka. Is that how you say that? That's the Japanese pumpkin, right? Kaboka. Popular green skin Japanese buttercup style squash. Excellent quality, sweet fine texture, and nutty tasting. I love this squash. It's so delicious. Delicata Zeppelin. Lakota, which I'm guessing is probably the same thing as that. Maybe not. Butterkin Hybrid. Rouge Vie d'Automne. I think this is, beautiful French heirloom, first offered by W. Atlee Burpee in 1883. Slightly flattened, deeply ribbed, red orange fruits about 6 inches deep and 18 inches wide. Can grow 25 pounds. Harvested about 100 days. Oh my gosh. I mean, can somebody if you love the podcast, and you are an aging human with no offspring and no particular charities that you love, and you just happen to own an apple orchard and something that might have once been a pumpkin farm, and if you just want to pass it on, I'm open to that option. I could just be a hobby pumpkinist and a hobby appleist. We'll get goats to clean between the trees, the orchard trees, so we don't have to mow. And then we'll have yurts, and I'll invite everybody to come stay. It'll be great. I'm just saying, it would be for the community. Oh my goodness. So if you are into gardening and you're a fan, or if you're into gardening and you're a patron of the podcast, whether that's through PayPal or Ko-Fi or Patreon, if you want to, if you're at all interested, you can go onto the Discord group, and we do have a gardening homesteading section there, where folks are talking about their gardening and things like that. So just put it out there, maybe if you're interested. I try to post the link every once in a while in the Patreon feed, but it does expire. So A, I'll remember to do that. And then B, if you are a patron of the podcast, but you do it through PayPal or something else, just let me know, and I'll send you the link to the Discord group that way. Okay. Where did I put that pen? There it is. Bam. Okay, now we're going to do things about bike and about Discord. That's what we're doing. Okay. So then what else has been going on? You know what? I'll just save that for another day. That's dyeing... Oh, I have no idea how long we've talked. Dyeing fabric. I'm taking a fabric printing class. Okay, I will show you this one thing. At the Indianapolis Art Center, which is in Broad Ripple, which is 12-ish miles away. I only know how many miles it is because I was trying to figure out if I could ride my bike there in a reasonable, which I might still try. And now that I've taken my first class there, I'm hatching all sorts of we need to have a sewing retreat at the. I don't even think they have sewing. We need to have a sewing retreat at the Indianapolis Art Center, and you could just all Airbnb in the Broad Ripple, which is a super cute place, and then everybody could just walk to the restaurants that they want to, and then we could just. Oh my gosh, it'd be so stinking great. The only problem is that Square Scoop is not up there, but we could take a field trip. I mean, maybe Square Scoop would cater. I'm just saying. There are other fancy ice cream places in Broad Ripple. But I mean, I have priorities. Wouldn't it be so cute? It's right on a Monon bike trail. So even if there was not enough Airbnb-ing in Broad Ripple for you, you could stay close enough that you could just bicycle, and then we could all sew some stuff, and everything would be in tiny motions, apparently. Okay, but the reason I do it to tell you, because I had this over. I am so excited. Okay, A, I love taking classes and buying the required supplies. I'm just going to admit who I am. If the rules say I have to buy a craft supply, that is a guilt-free craft supply purchase. I am just saying. So, the instructor was so lovely, and she was going through the list of supplies, she's well, if you don't want to buy that, we could do this, or this is an alternative. And I was just no, I will be buying all the supplies exactly as written, but then also extra. One of the supplies was this, which at the time I thought was kind of I was I don't know why I'm buying this. This seems kind of ridiculous. Is this giant pad of newsprint. But now I love it. And all I want to do is write lists in fat pencils. I prefer a 4B for writing on the... Such a weird... really prefer a 4 or a 6B for writing lists on my giant newsprint pad. I am so in love with it. Is that that should be the little screen cap for the intro. Me just loving a giant pad of paper. It's if you were a kid and you were trying to place... Okay. If you were a kid that was born before the internet and before VHS tapes, like, and you were trying to play school with your friends, this would have been like the biggest win ever. Right. This, gold. Gold. But it's still pretty awesome. And I kind of want to make my family giant to-do lists. And hang them. It may still be happening, I don't know. But I will we're just here, just keep going. So I was dyeing fabric. I bought this, okay, so I'm not gonna show you what I made because it's a test sew and they haven't released the pattern yet. But I have this bolt of bull denim. And to be honest with you, I don't know the difference between bull denim and regular denim, and I've never actually looked it up. But I bought it in the intention of using it for a lining for my bags because right as the pandemic, or shortly after the pandemic started, there were like some crazy shortages of things that I used, and one of them was lining. And so I was trying to explore whether that would be a good alternative. And ultimately, I didn't, even though it's like they rate the fabrics are usually listed and they're usually giving their ounces per square yard or per square meter or grams per square meter. And so even though it's 10 ounces per square yard, which is pretty substantial, it has a lot more, it's not as rigid as I would like to have for some of my bags. So I had this like bolt of like 10 yards of denim that I need to use. And so that's a great excuse to dye some of it, right? And so, I know that I need to invest in some like Procyon dyes, right? Because they do have a longer lasting life, but Rit dye does pretty well. I don't know if you remember, if you've been with me for a while, I did my Otis overalls and dyed them with Rit and they have held up pretty well. Now I don't wash them like every time I wear them because they're not that close to any part of me that's that stinky. And like I just kind of air them out, and I just generally try not to wash my clothes as I tried to wash them as I try to limit the amount of washing I do because it just wears your clothes out. But I want to invest in some Procyon dyes, and I have since done that, so that I have like some staple like mixing colors. But the great thing about Rit is that you can just get it just about, I mean, you can get them at like a Walmart or Joann's, and they have both powdered versions and liquid versions. The powdered versions are the same thing. From what I understand, the powdered versions are the same thing as the liquid ones. So they're a lot more they're a lot more affordable, especially for dyeing like a large project. But the cool thing about Rit that is not, I can't see that Procyon does it, is they have a color calculator. So they have all these colors, and then whenever you click on it, it'll tell you what you need. So like, you're like, oh dude, I love that color. Well, this is watermelon. It's watermelon. And it requires fuchsia and lemon yellow, right? And so whatever color there's a lot of variety. And so, and then it gives you like an approximate strength for like a pair of jeans, or are you doing like bed sheets, or whatever it might be. So, and there's a lot of, I don't know what number of them there are, but there are a lot of options. And so I wanted to do this color called Lime, which is not that one, but is in fact the one next to that. Yeah. So this was my color I was going for. It's going to be hard because of lighting, but okay, that's about approximately the right color, I think. And so I got my dye from the Joann Fabrics, and this is what I got. And I just dry mine in my washing machine. I have like an old top-loading agitator washing machine, so I'm not worried about it dyeing. It doesn't dye any of the metal parts, but sometimes if you have plastic parts, especially I think like the rubber thingy in a front-loading machine, it can dye those. And it will make my agitator, it'll kind of stain my agitator, which is plastic, but it doesn't seem to affect anything like longer term, and like it eventually just washes out. But so this is the color that I originally got, and I was like, that was a little Easter grassy. So I used the formula as indicated, but it was a little Easter grassy. So I went ahead and added more yellow, because this color was composed of golden yellow and turquoise, right? Yeah. So I added more yellow, and look at my color. I'm pretty excited about it. Right? It also might be exactly the same color as my sneakers, which I didn't intend, but sometimes when you like a color, there's a reason. See, that's pretty close, right? There we go. That's pretty close. So I did have to add more yellow, but maybe it's because I accidentally added more blue because it was like half a bottle. And let's face it, I didn't actually measure it. So I'm not blaming Rit. I'm just saying. Yes. Let me also discuss, I totally had an argument with my husband because I showed him this fabric in this color. And I was like, but I need this color, so I think I'm going to add yellow. And he was like, that's never going to work. He's like, yellow is lighter than that color. It's not gonna do anything. And I was like, really? You're gonna argue with me about colors? He does this all the time. I'm like, I actually had a job where I dyed yarn. People bought it. I'm just saying. But like, it did work. So I overdyed this color, and look at that. Bam. Now when I do Rit dyes, I do use, they have like like a color fixer. Like it's not a fixer because you add it, like you do it after. So it's not like the salt or like soda ash that you use for a Procyon dye. But it's some sort of like, it helps the dye stay set longer. So I do use that. So maybe that's the reason I've had good success with my overalls. But this is kind of like a fun little accessory. And I don't need it to be perfect. So I'm like, oh, did you see my secret mushroom facings? They don't match perfectly, but come on. So I did dye this in the yardage versus sewing it and then dyeing it. And that was because I wanted to have my facings stay their natural color and not over dye the facings. Because priorities. So dyeing fabric. Taking a class about printing fabrics. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm so hungry. What happened? Okay, so now let's actually let's talk about spinning. So I have been spinning a little bit more. I don't know, I find that spinning is very springy to me and sometimes. Or maybe it's just like a change of season. That's maybe it more than anything. So this has been on the wheel forever, but I had purchased from Nest Fiber Studio. I had purchased, she does like a package of, usually it's 6, I think, bumps, like 6 1-ounce bumps that are like coordinates for colorway, for her club colorways. And I purchased this one a while back. And what I decided to do is so there's 6 different colors, and I decided to do a random mix of 2 colors on each bobbin and then ply them and make it a 3-ply. I have no idea what's going to happen. But what I do is I just split my fiber up into little bobs like this. So the bobbin that's still on the wheel are these 2 colors. And so I just break it up into little bits. And I usually don't pre-draft fiber, but it is kind of fun to do it because it does make spinning easier. And then I roll a die, excuse me. I roll a die and I'll say like, okay, if it's odd, I'll spin this color. And if it's even, I'll spin this color. And so that gives me a random mix of them. And I won't lie, sometimes I do fake it. Like when you get to that 6th one, you're like if I have 6 in a row of one color, I'm like, okay, I'm breaking. I'm going to go to the next color. But you could also roll it to see how many bumps of that color you might, or how many bits of that color you might spin, or I really like random spinning options. But so this one is like this gold, and then it's like a color that's basically in between these 2 colors. It's a pretty true pink. And then this one is this color, and then a green that is basically just like a few shades darker. So yeah, so we'll see what that's going to look like. I don't know. I'm spinning that on a Hansen, and I am using my woolly winder, which I never use, but I'm enjoying it. And then, because of course I also have to spin some more because I need to be able to buy some fiber at the fiber event. That might also be why I like to spin in the spring. But then knitting, I think think I'll save that sewing for next time. I keep saying that, and I'm like, I'll just show it to you because it's here. So I showed you a while back that I was doing some hand quilting on this project for a friend. And I just wanted to share with you very briefly. I had just been using 2 strands of DMC floss, but I don't love it. And so my mom, I'm not quite ready to invest in the Valdani threads. Is that what they are? The pearl cottons. That's what my mom uses because she's fancy. But I'm not quite ready to invest in those. So I decided to buy these silky threads. They're a 12 weight, which is essentially equivalent to like 2 strands of a 6-ply floss. But because it's balanced on its own for my spinners, it does not tangle up nearly as bad as when you break off 2 plies from a 6-ply floss. It doesn't, it's really nice. Also, it feels kind of smoother. I don't know, that might just be my own imagination. Like it feels slippier. It really feels like it goes through the fabric really nicely. But yeah, so I've been enjoying this. Now, and these are like, the Valdanis are, I think they're like $5 per little ball. And also like, I just don't have a place to buy them locally. So like, that's just complicated. So I just wanted to try these and I'm really enjoying them so far. You can get, this is 12 of them for like $12-ish if you buy them in like a package. And I've just done a little bit with them, but I really am enjoying them so far. And I'm just doing some straight line hand stitching on this. But yeah, I'll show you next time. Hopefully I'll be a little bit further along. Okay, knitting. Okay, so the thing you have seen before. Oh wait, this isn't a thing you haven't seen. This is a bag that's in the update. Oh, I tricked you. But I did keep it for myself. Because look, okay, I'm just going to show him right now. But like, look at the zipper combination. It's very exciting. Also, I think my place that I buy my zippers from, which is, oh, she's on Etsy. I cannot remember what she's called. But this zipper is called Monster Snot, which makes me like it a lot more again, which is hard to say. But I'm doing my Brain Freeze like wrap. So Brain Freeze is a cowl pattern by Susan Ashcroft. And it's written, I can't remember if it's specifically written for any size. It's probably not. But you know, it's a cowl, so. But you can either do a single loop or like a longer loop. But I wanted to use that to break up. This is some Lang Cloud. So my yarn store put the price sticker like right on the thing. Lang Cloud. This is one of the blown, so it's a nylon tube with merino wool in it. So it's 100 grams for 260 meters, but it's like a bulky weight. So you get a good value of yardage for your 100-gram investment. And it's 90% superwash, no, 90% merino and 10% nylon. And they had a sweater knit up with it, not in a different colorway, and it was a little bit busier than I wanted. So I wanted to use this pattern to kind of break it up a little bit. So I'm using it with Wabash Woolen Works, which is a wool mill up in Wabash, Indiana. This is 250 yards of a 50% merino, 50% alpaca, and it's 4.5 ounces. So it's really lovely to work with. And here is what I have so far. It's it is a bit of a slower knit because it involves lots of slipped stitches, so your project doesn't grow quite as fast. But I do think it's really working out nicely. It's very, I think it did help to tone down the color changing yarn to work a neutral, like kind of in the front of it. Actually, they alternate like taking the front and the back. But either way, I think think it worked out. I think it's working out really nicely. I'm excited about it. I'm a little bit afraid that I'm going to run out of the Wabash, but it was I need to call my yarn store to see if they have more. They didn't when I bought it, but who knows. But yeah. I don't know. I might be okay. Although I need it to be like 60 inches, I think. And I have no idea if it's going to curl. I think once I block it, it'll be okay. Because I don't, but if it does still want to curl, I'll just pick up a border and knit like a little garter stitch border on it or something like that to kind of keep it from curling under. So that is that. And then, if you are a patron of the podcast, I kind of chimed in. Did I? Wait, now I'm not sure if I did. I don't even know what's going on anymore. So, my grandfather's funeral was on the 15th of February. And then the following Tuesday, my mother's husband, my child's grandfather, was diagnosed with acute heart failure, basically, and had to immediately go into the hospital. Like, do not pass go. The doctor listened to him and then said, you need to go to the hospital. And so my poor mother, my poor father, but my poor mother, I'm very happy to report that what was initially a very terrifying diagnosis, he has had open heart surgery. He is back at home now, and is doing what I would say is amazingly well. He's certainly not, mowing grass or anything, but like he is alive, which is amazingly well. And so during that time, we need comfort in any small way we can get it, right? And that is, I couldn't do anything for him, but my mother, I was trying to be with her for the thing and for the procedure, but also, I don't know, whatever. It was the thing. But it spurned me, and part of my comfort knitting was to cast on some much stashed Moon Rover yarn. So Moon Rover, who is the designer of a knitting board game now, so fancy, but she used to dye yarn, and she dyes a really lovely yarn, and I have no idea what this colorway is because it's been caked and I've been looking at it for like 5 years or something silly. But I cast on a thermal cap, which I find to be very good waiting room knitting, because I just dropped stitch, but that's okay. I do my garter in the round, so it gives me a little bit of something to do. I'm constantly switching back and forth directions, but not that much. But so here it is so far, yay! And just in case you're curious, I am doing the German short row technique to switch back and forth. I will do a tutorial about it, but here is my seam. From here to here is my seam, and I really think the only reason you can see it is because of the color changing, because it's a variegated yarn. You're knitting back on yourself, so there's definitely a color change at that seam, but it's pretty good. I think the short row way is the way to go. The German short row way is really a great way to go, and here it is on the wrong side. This is the seam on the wrong side from finger to finger. No, it's not. From finger to finger. Yeah, it looks pretty good, right? Okay, so that's my knitting. That's my 5 minutes of knitting for the podcast that's 12 hours long. If you cared, you wouldn't be here still. Okay, then the last thing I'm going to do is shameless self-promotion. So if you don't want to see, just go. That's fine. I'll talk to you later. But if you do, there are pre-orders up in the shop right now. So they'll definitely be there through the 22nd. But we'll see what interest looks like. I might close it at that date. But basically, if you're seeing this, go check if you're interested, obviously. But so I already showed you. Okay, so here are the two fabrics, right? And these are both by the same surface designer. She is linked in the product description on fatsquirrelfibers.com, so you can see you can see a link to her website. But she's the same surface designer for both of these, and so I really wanted. I know this is weird, but like I really want when I have an update for there to be like a theme or like a color story, or like it's just for me. Like it's just a thing that I need. And so I really wanted to put them together for the same designer, but I kept being like, I don't know what ties these things together beyond the designer. But then I realized that I could call it bird watching. If I hadn't told you, you would never know, but I needed to tell you. So I called this bag bird and this bag watching. And I might have even lined them up on the website so that the bird was on the left and the watching was on the right. Just from my heart. So I already showed you my sweater bag. And this is, of course, my large wedge size. So these are both available as a pre-order, like I said. They're available just in these two sizes. But it is a it's a denim from Spoonflower. It has a lot of body. It definitely stands up on its own. I really like this fabric. It's very durable. I've seen bags of mine that are, 6 or 7 years old. I'm trying to remember exactly when they introduced the denim, but they always look good. They, they have a good body to them. I really like them. So this fabric is all Spoonflower and it's all denim. So then the bird, it's an alphabet bird. So I have it in large wedge. I have it in sweater. If you get sweater, you will get every bird. If you get the large wedge, you will not get every bird, but you get a lot of birds. And then I have it in an Aran sweater. And you can see that there's actually a difference in scale. So the Aran sweater has a bigger square, and you can see the name of the bird slightly more clearly. So H for heron. You can still see it on the smaller scale, but it is not as clear. But yeah, and you will get every bird also on the Aran sweater size. Some of them might be on the bottom, but you will get every bird. So yeah. So those are in the shop right now. Usually it's about 4 to 6 weeks. It probably won't be that long because it doesn't seem like interest is that high. So we're probably looking more towards the 4-week side. But I give myself a room because I order the fabrics to be printed. And so yeah, I'll get the fabric in, I'll cut them out, I'll sew them, I'll get them to you. So yeah. All right. I think that's all. Let's go get some lunch. It's 3:50. Maybe we should eat lunch. Anyway. Okay. I'll talk to you next time. I promise it won't be nearly as long. But I hope you can enjoy some increasing sunshine. I hope you can enjoy some breaks with yummy rain that is just gentle and lovely and going to take care of your plants and I hope all of your bulbs do okay. I have a neighbor who has like 1 million bulbs, and every year I walk past her yard and I'm like, oh, so envious. But not that envious, but a little bit envious. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.